What's going on, Fantasy World? It's your boy Hot Soup, man, coming to you with the Week 9 I Told You So. I'm coming to you with overachievers for Week 9. Man, were there a lot of them. I'm talking about guys that should not have been thought about. And we're going to start off with our number one overachiever for Week 9 is going to go to Mr. C.J. Stroud, the first quarterback this year to throw for 5 TDs. That's right. You heard it, man. C.J. Stroud went off for 470 yards, 5 TDs, had a 2-point conversion, in standard scoring, put up 41.8 points. Man, in a bonus league, I saw one league, that guy had 66 points. He single-handedly won your week for you, but you know what I know? I know that C.J. Stroud was not starting in most leagues this week. People had benched him. He was on the bench. There were other guys that were streaming way higher than him, ranked way higher. He had not been doing well these past couple weeks. So C.J. Stroud, out of there. And our number two, off the board this week, Josh Dobbs. Look, Josh Dobbs just got off the plane this week, right? He wasn't supposed to start. They dressed him, but that was just because they needed their backup quarterback. They had another guy that was about to go. The quarterback got hurt early in the first quarter, and they throw Josh Dobbs right in the fire. It hasn't even probably looked at the playbook yet, right? Maybe looked over it a couple hours, comes in and lights those boys up. Look, the Atlanta Falcons ain't know what to do. He put up 158 yards, 2 TDs. He rushed for 66 yards on 7 rushes for a touchdown, scoring 24.92 fantasy points. Joshua Dobbs ended up top 5 overall quarterback in scoring in Week 9. Fresh off the plane. Wasn't even expected to play. Hey, listen. Go get y'all some Josh Dobbs right now. Jay Jetta's Mr. Justin Jefferson will be back probably this week. Y'all need to go get Joshua Dobbs. He's going to be very, very serviceable. I'd say a top 12 pick for the rest of the season. He can get it in on the ground once he learns that system. He got some weapons, man, over there in Minnesota. Number 3 on our overs list was Rachaad White. No one saw this coming. That guy's been mediocre all year long, maybe had one good game. Rachaad White goes off for 73 yards, 2 TDs, and gets 4 receptions for 46 yards, good for 25.9 fantasy points. Listen, man, Rachaad White was a beast. He was getting the ball early and often. I watched some clips of that game. Look, man, not saying he's going to be that every week in and week out. He's a matchup basis, but he did his thing this week. Number 3 on our overachievers. Number 4 on our overachievers, a guy you've never heard of, Keaton Mitchell. And look, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not going to go out there and just grab Keaton Mitchell off the waiver wires thinking he's going to be putting up 15 carries a game. Look, man, the guy had 10 total touches, okay? And the only reason he got those touches because Baltimore was up a ridiculous amount of points. So, of course, he's going to get work. But that's not going to happen game in and game out. Look, Keaton Mitchell went off for 9 rushes, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Also had a reception, but didn't take it anywhere. My point is here, you got Gus Edwards. They're not taking Gus Edwards out the game at the goal line situations. He is their running back of choice. Hill is a filler. Now, not to say that Mitchell didn't show enough burst, which he did. The eye test looked great. I mean, he may steal some of Hill's work, but I don't see him stealing any of Edwards' work. Keaton Mitchell, you can go pick him up on your waiver wires, but I mean, I'm not saying go start him. I don't see him getting a whole bunch of touches just that quick off of one game. They were just giving up big goo gobs of yards late in the game. They were already down 4 or 5 touchdowns. So in my opinion, yeah, he had a great game. Are they going to carve him a little workload over there? Possibly. But is it going to be big enough where he's, the man? No, it's not happening. So don't get your hopes up. But he did have a great game and was number 4 on our overs list. 19.9 points. Ramondre Stevenson made number 5. All right, our third running back on our overachievers. He's been dismal all year long. Hasn't scored many double-digit point games. He finally got us a 20-point game. Had 13 touches, 87 yards on the ground, 4 receptions for 42 yards. Also scored a touchdown, 20.9 points out of Ramondre Stevenson. Finally giving us Ramondre Stevenson numbers, how we drafted him for. I love him for the rest of the season. Of course, they're going to get him a bigger workload. He is the best back in that backfield. In my opinion, the best player on the team. So our first receiver off the board for overs, Tank Dell. Yeah, Tank Dell had blew up early in the year, one game, had a decent other game, but other than that, man, he's been a shell of himself. But at the same time, he had a huge game, 6 receptions for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 11 targets, ended up with 26.6 fantasy points. Tank Dell was the man. Obviously, somebody had to catch 470 of those yards that CJ Stroud aired out over that weak defense that he played this weekend. Somebody had to do it. So it had to be Tank Dell. Also, the number 2 receiver off our overs goes to Noah Brown. Noah Brown had 6 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets. He caught everything thrown his way. I would go grab him off the waivers. Not saying start him, but Noah Brown, obviously, if CJ Stroud is going to be throwing for 300 to 400 yard games, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, and your boy Nico Collins are all startable in this offense. Their running game is pedestrian. Do they even have a running game, right? They got 2 capable running backs, but cannot get it done on the ground. CJ Stroud will be airing it out for the rest of the season. I like all 3 of those guys. Noah Brown, obviously, in a deeper 12-man league, maybe a flex play, but Tank Dell and Nico Collins need to be started on a weekly basis from here on out. They have one of the weakest schedules coming up. CJ Stroud, Noah Brown, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Get them in your lineups. Number 8, which is our 3rd receiver off the board for overs this week, was T. Higgins. Finally, T. Higgins got some love, man. T. Higgins ended up with 9 targets, got 8 receptions for 110 yards, scored his 15 fantasy points, man. We've been looking for this game all year for T. Higgins. Listen, Burrow's getting hot. There's going to be enough work for Higgins and Chase over there in that offense. So get those guys in your lineups. They're going to be matchup-proof type receivers in the second half of the season. It always goes down like this. Burrow always gets hot. Jamar Chase always gets hot right around that playoff time when it's fantasy playoffs. He's been scoring in me for 2 years straight. Talking about I'm in leagues. I got the best teams in the league, and I end up getting popped because Burrow wants to go throw up 6 touchdowns through the air. So definitely get those guys in your lineup. Trade for them. I love it. Our 2 tight ends off the board. Dalton Schultz has a game. 11 targets, 10 receptions, 130 yards, went off for 22 fantasy points. Did his thing. Obviously, we know Dalton Schultz was a starter. He was a top 10 play from the get. But Cade Otton over there in Tampa Bay with the 6 receptions for 70 yards and 2 TDs on 9 targets for the 20 fantasy points. Who saw that coming? He helped absolutely no one. He was on the bench, on the waiver wires in every league. I suggest y'all go grab him. Looks like he could be a hot pick on our waiver wires this week. Cade Otton. So those are your overs for week 9, man. Seen a lot of work. A lot of guys that we didn't think were going to get work, got work and overachieved, man. They made us know who their name was in NFL fantasy football. So go check us out for our underachievers on our next episode. I appreciate everybody coming out. Go to YouTube, like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's your boy Hot Soup, and I'm out.